Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. So, this time of year, everyone's talking about New Year's resolutions, goal setting for the new year. And I have a different take on it this year. And I really want to give you my perspective and share something life changing that I just learned about that I'm implementing into my goals for 2025. So, 2024 was a very different year for me, and it's so hard to really explain with words like what I experienced and how my perspective and my mindset and the way I view the world has changed, but it has changed in profound ways. And I was talking with my friend Megan Worth, who has been on the podcast multiple times. She was like, Stephanie, it's like you have reached this like stage of enlightenment, which I don't necessarily think that. I know we hear about that. That's kind of like the top goal on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely feel like something very profound has shifted in me that has really taken me from being the type of person who was very, very much a tangible goal setter, meaning I always had a money goal. I'm very motivated by money, by, seeing the numbers, having things that are very quantifiable. And I know I talked about this before, but it's really switched more to these non-tangible goals, just more general of having freedom, being able to do what I truly want to do, being very much aligned with my purpose and what I'm feeling intuitively at the moment and that kind of thing. And so that was pretty much 2024 for me. It was really like letting go of the money goals and all that kind of stuff. And instead just asking me like what is that costing me? If I keep increasing my money goals, why am I doing that? Do I need to do that? Is there a specific thing that I'm going to use that money for? And what is the cost to me? So, for example, if I make my next money goal, to have multiple six figures, do I need that to live the lifestyle that I want to live? No. So, why am I doing it? Am I doing it because I see other people, other entrepreneurs, um, at a higher level and setting these goals? Yeah, that's probably why I was doing that. But what is the cost? The cost might be then hiring a team, now having to be a manager and deal with that instead of just, continuing with my business that's flowing really well. It might mean more time away from the things I really want to do, more time away from my kids. And so that kind of thing. And really figuring out like, what do I truly want? And realizing that like these money goals aren't really it. Like it's great and I think that, we all should have abundance and I don't think that being so focused with a specific money goal is really getting to the true hidden reason for why you want what you want. So I wanted to start with that because I'm sure everyone's going to be wondering about money goals and things like that. And so I've really let go of that. I've completely detached from that in 2024. And I think that was the pivotal thing that changed everything for me was detaching from it and not needing it and knowing that I'm happy with it or I'm happy without it. Either way, I'm good. And that is when crazy, miraculous things started manifesting for me. And I think the detachment and the pull away from these very tangible goals has actually served me very well. So I want to keep going with that in 2025. And I came across this man by the name of Jesse Itzler. And I guess he's like a motivational speaker. I think he was an athlete, he's an entrepreneur. And he has this whole plan for how he lays out his year. And it is genius. And it's right along the lines with what I'm talking about. And instead of setting these tangible goals, these things that you want. So, like, let's say your goal. Um, so instead of setting the goal for, I'm going to make a vision board, and on there, I'm going to put that I want this car and this house, and I want this amount of money. and I want to be on this many podcasts or whatever. You're going to set goals around experiences, things that you want to experience. And I absolutely love this because at the end of the day, and I've said this so many times, I cannot say it enough to truly ingrain it in you that manifestation is not about doing. It is about being. It is about living. That's the whole purpose of life is to actually live it, right? And I think we can get really caught up in our minds, overthinking things, our routines, always looking at what's next or focusing on what, we didn't do, what has passed, that we're not truly living in the present moment. And I am not great with that, to be honest with you. I never have been. I've always been a forward thinker. And that can be a good thing, but too much of that takes you out of the present moment. And so that was a big theme for me in 2024 was really being more present. And that is actually my word or phrase of the year for 2025 is be present. I just decided that right now as I said it because I have been thinking about it, you guys, so much lately. Like, what do I want my word of the year or phrase of the year to be? I think everyone should have one. And I think that it should be the overall theme of what you really want to get out of the year. And for me, talking through it always seems to help. And that's what I want. I want to be more present. I am the worst about being on my phone because when you run a business and when you have a podcast and you have to promote it and you have to post and you feel like you always have to be on social media and checking emails and doing all these things, it's really easy to constantly be out of the present moment and constantly be thinking about the future or taking care of things on your phone. My kids call me out on it all the time. So does my husband. And I know it's a problem. And I've really been trying actively to work on it. And that is part of what I'm talking about here today is setting goals and habits that are actually going to help me do that. So that's my word of the day or my word of the year, my phrase of the year is to be more present. So think about what yours is going to be, this overarching vibe. Okay. It's a vibe, it's an idea that you want to stick to and you want to help define your year. And when I get through the rest of this podcast, it might actually help you figure out what that word or phrase is. Okay. So, Jesse Itzler, he says to plan your entire year now in, December, January around experiences, around living. How do you want to live in 2025? How do you want to experience life? What kinds of memories do you want to build for yourself, your kids, your family? And this, oh my gosh, this really hit me. And I don't want to take this on as my own. This is Jesse Itzler. You can look him up. I found him on TikTok. He's amazing. I would definitely follow his page. Super motivational. But I want to talk about what he lays out. So, the first thing is kind of like I said, with picking your word or your phrase of the year, you're going to have a misogi. So, a misogi is this ancient Japanese tradition where you pick something that is a challenge that you're going to overcome. And he calls it a year defining goal. And really, it's a year defining goal, but it's also a life defining goal because you're going to pick something that really is monumental that you've been wanting to do, you've been thinking about, but you've just never done it before. And you're putting it off and you're putting it off and you're getting stuck in your routine and you're not taking action. And so this is the year. This is the year that this thing is going to become your Misogi and you are going to overcome the challenge. And always remember this year as the year that you started your podcast, you launched a business, you overcame your fear of public speaking and gave a keynote, the year that you ran a marathon, like whatever it is, whatever that big thing is that you've always wanted to do and you've been putting it off, this is going to be your Misogi for 2025. So I kind of looked back at past years to see, okay, I started a business, I launched my podcast, I created my app, I became a stay-at-home mom. Like those were all different Misogis. And I can look back at like 2020, 2021, 2022 and have those very year-defining things that kind of changed my life in a big way. This year, for me, the Misogi is going to be the Quantum Catalyst Mastermind. I've talked about it here on the podcast. And it truly is like a Misogi because this is something that I have been thinking about for the entire year, all of 2024, everything that I experienced, the journey that I've been on, and things that are happening as we speak in the world are all culminating at this very point for this mastermind. And I just know it's like every part of my intuition, every atom of my being is telling me that this is going to be monumental. It's going to be life changing. And I know with previous masterminds that have been way less than 6 months, just a few weeks, I've made lifelong friends. I mentioned Megan earlier. She was in my mastermind. Like we become a tight knit group and it's like your people that are going to support you moving forward and you're going to support them and you're going to lean on one another and you're going to all up level together. That is what this mastermind is going to be. So this is going to be my Misogi and it ties in with my business, with my podcast, with my career and with my life because not only am I manifesting in my life and like doing all of that, but this is a topic, quantum manifestation, how we're taking science and technology and the metaphysical, spirituality, and putting it all together. No one else is talking about that. So I really think that this is going to be a shift for me in my business and where I'm headed future with things that I do, courses I make, things that I build, what I'm known for is all going to be a result of this mastermind. And I'm giving it my all. I'm putting my heart and soul into this. It's really the only thing I'm going to be like super hyper focused on for the next 6 months. Therefore, it's my Misogi. So there you go. Have your 1 year defining thing where you look back and you're like, yep, that's the year I did the 6 month mastermind that changed everything, changed my life, changed their life, changed my business, put me on the map for quantum manifestation. What is your thing gonna be that you want to do? Have you been thinking, I'm gonna leave my job? This is the year I'm gonna leave my job. This is the year I'm gonna start my business. This is the year I'm gonna start a podcast. That is your Misogi for 2025. Okay, the next thing that Jesse Itzler says to do when you're planning your year is what he calls Kevin's rule. So, Kevin is his friend. He said he's this blue collar worker and he is just the happiest guy that he's ever met. And one day he was talking to Kevin and he asked Kevin, like how are you so happy all the time? I mean, you just seem to love life. What's the deal? Like how are you happy all the time, always smiling, always having fun? And Kevin said it's because every other month he plans a mini adventure. He does something he wouldn't normally do. So this could be anything. It could be climbing a mountain, taking your kids camping, running a half marathon, going on a particular vacation. He plans 6 mini adventures every year. And, the way that Jesse was explaining this is if you like, let's say you live to be 85, and you're like me, you're turning 40 this year. That's 270 adventures that you would experience between now and the end of life. 270 things that were out of the ordinary that you did. And the way that I look at that is 270 solid memories. So that when you look back at the years, it's not just a blur of work and kids and just being in your day-to-day routine where the days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, years turn into decades, and then everything's just a blur. Like it's actual memories you're building, life experiences you're having. And this really piqued my interest because when you're doing something that is out of the ordinary, and this could be anything, like this does not have to be climbing a mountain, for example. This could literally be taking a different route to work, a different path that you've never taken before. Anything that you do that's out of the ordinary is a key indicator for happiness. And the reason is because when you do something that's out of the ordinary, it builds a new neural pathway. And we're just wired for this, right? So, if let's say you're just like in your typical, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and then on the weekends, you're always with the same group of friends, hanging out at the same places. It's so easy to become sort of like depressed because you're not building new neural pathways, you're not experiencing new things, and that we all like crave this. Like subconsciously we crave this. And they actually did a study where they looked at people who are on vacation and they thought, okay, when you go on vacation, obviously you have a good time. People feel happier, right? Like the chip is off their shoulder, they loosen up a little bit, they soften up, they laugh, they have fun, and then they come back and they feel really re-energized and reinvigorated. Well, why is that? And what they found was that it was simply a matter of changing their routine and doing something out of the ordinary. And they said, you don't have to go on vacation for this. You could do it in your day to day. You can try a new restaurant that you've never been to before. You could go in a new store. You could go to a new park and walk around. Like it could be something so small and subtle, but it doesn't matter. It's simply a new experience. And that new experience is like a high, right? It's something new. And so all of your senses are involved and you're truly living in the present moment. So when you think about it, like when you're in the same routine and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, what happens? Autopilot kicks on. So now instead of you consciously being present and experiencing it, living in the moment, you're on autopilot and your subconscious takes over and that's when you start daydreaming or whatever. And that's why it's like the days turn into weeks, the weeks turn into months. Time flies because you're not really experiencing it. You're just like going through life and it's one big blur. And so I loved this idea of Kevin's rule of planning 6 mini adventures a year because 6 is a number that's doable. It's every other month. Every other month, just pick one thing that you're going to focus on that is something you wouldn't normally do. Okay. And plan it out. So my mom bought me this planner for 2025. And on the very first page, it has all 12 months and then like each day of the month all laid out on one big page. And this is actually something Jesse does. He has this big, huge calendar that shows every single day of the entire year. And he will go, and I think he uses post-it notes. So that's what I did. I got the little tiny post-it notes, and at the top, I did my Misogi. That's kind of like the first thing you see on this calendar. And then I did, starting with January, and then every other month, I put a little tab post-it note, and I filled in like things that I knew I was going to do. So we got passes to Universal Studios. It's new, as you know, we've been Disney in the past, like Disney people, no longer with Disney. Now we're going to try Universal. That's something new and exciting. So that's going to be my January thing. Then for my birthday, I'm going to go to Nashville with my friends. So like I planned that out. We're probably going to do a Naples trip. So I put that on there. So that's 3 things that I already know I'm going to do. And then I just have 3 blank ones that I'm going to fill in as I go and figure out like what the next adventure is going to be. But I like the idea of breaking it into doing it every other month because every month it's kind of like life gets really busy and hectic. It can be really hard to plan an adventure every single month. But every other month, that's 6 times. That seems very doable, but it also breaks up the monotony and it gets you out of your routine and it kind of shakes you up a little bit. And so just start thinking in the back of your mind. You don't have to have all 6 things planned out, but do what I did with the post-it notes. At least have a space for it. So, let's say you have a blank post-it note for March and you're in February, start thinking, what do we want to do? Get your kids involved or your spouse or your best friend or whoever, your person is, and tell them about this and do it with them and just think like, what do we want to do next? And so that's what I'm planning. I was just talking about it with my oldest daughter, Alexis. Like, we're actually going to record a whole episode on her podcast about this whole topic and kind of like, well, what do we want to do? Like, what experiences do we want to have in 2025? And this is where you get to pick those experiences and plan them out. And then, looking back, on 2025, you will have like so many memories that you built. And you will look back at 2025 and like think of your Misogi and be like, that was the year. That was the year I finally quit drinking. Or that was the year I finally ran a marathon. Or that was the year that I got involved in lifting weights and getting healthy. That was the year I went off my diabetes medication or like what, you know what I mean? Like anything major like that, and then you'll look back and you'll have 6 adventures that are now memories that you can think about. And I don't know. I just think it's so cool and like so much better than the shit I used to put on my vision board, like a new Louis Vuitton bag or a new vehicle or whatever. Like this beats it any day, in my opinion. And I just absolutely love it. And when you are planning these mini adventures, just know, like, along with what I was saying with this experiment, this research that they did with people on vacation, know that you will be left feeling exhilarated and re-energized. So it gives you a little bit of a boost. So if you are in a situation where maybe you're really stressed out with your job, or maybe you're going through something, this gives you things to look forward to. And again, it doesn't have to be some big, expensive trip or something far away. Like it could literally be something you do in your hometown that is absolutely free, but it is out of the ordinary and it's going to be a new experience. Okay, so before we get to the last part of the New Year's plan, let's go ahead and hear from our show sponsors. Americans take about 20,000 breaths a day and spend an average of 90% of their time indoors. And the indoor air that we breathe can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air, according to the EPA. Indoor air pollutants can cause respiratory symptoms like sneezing, congestion, scratchy throat, and even more serious health problems like lung and heart disease. So, what's the solution? Introducing Air Doctor, the air purifier that filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants so your lungs don't have to. This includes allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mites, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code ATTRACTION, and you'll receive up to $300 off air purifiers. Exclusive to podcast customers, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Lock this special offer by going to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code ATTRACTION. Okay, so let's dive into the last thing that Jesse talks about, which I absolutely am on board with 110%, which is adding a new habit every quarter. Okay, so this is every 3 months, you're picking just one small habit to implement. Now, just like the mini adventure, this does not have to be something absolutely extreme, like I'm never eating sugar again, or I'm going to work out for an hour every single day of the week. It could be something so simple like making your bed every morning, waking up 10 minutes earlier so you're not feeling as rushed, going for a walk after dinner, meditating for 5 minutes every day. It could be anything. Um, I will make a suggestion. If you are not yet using subliminals in your life, make that a habit. Listen to one subliminal a day. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a long one. You could literally listen for 3 minutes, listen to one subliminal a day. And over that 3 months, you will see how it changes your life. Um, it could be like one of the habits that I want to get back into is reading. And if I'm not reading, listening to an audiobook because I used to love reading, like absolutely love it. And I read a lot of personal development books. But I used to love reading like fiction. And I haven't done that in so long because like with young kids, it's hard, first of all, to find time to read. But I don't know. It's just like I feel like I have so many other things on my to-do list that I need to do that it's like I don't really give myself that time to do something enjoyable, like read a nonfiction book, because I feel like, well, that's kind of pointless. But it's not pointless. It's like opening up my imagination, helping me tap into the right hemisphere of my brain, which is so important for manifesting. So that's been in the back of my mind. Like I need to add a new habit where even if it's 10 minutes a day, I am reading or listening to an audiobook just for fun and just for my imagination. So that's going to be one. Another one, I was just talking to Alexis before I started recording, and as you know, she was in cross country. I think I've mentioned that multiple times, but she went from not ever running to running literally every single day, miles and miles and miles every week. And she got really good at it. And I think it's great. I think it helps with your mindset, your mental health. It's such a great stress reliever. And so my one habit for January was going to be going for a walk outside every day because I used to do that. And then again, like life just got busy. The kids started school, and I found myself doing that less and less and less. And I would like to get back outside because I feel like that's where we're a clear, antenna, where I get my best ideas. I feel less stress. I feel more intuitive. And she said, well, Mom, how about instead of walking, we run, or we could even just jog, but we could do it together. And then once you build up your endurance and get good at it, we could go and do like a fun 5K together. And I was like, well, there we go. There's our habit, or my habit, I should say, for January through March. And then the mini adventure can be a 5K because I've never done a 5K before. And I've always told myself I'm not a runner. I hate running. I'm not good at it. But that's why, like, just starting little by little, running for a few minutes every day, and then setting a very doable, like, mini adventure, like a 5K. I like it. So that's what I'm going to focus on for the start of the year. And I will keep you posted on how that goes. So, again, super small, subtle habits. Just choose one. If you choose more than one, your brain is going to resist it. It's like make it as simple as possible, but know that at the end of the year, that's 4 habits. Because think about it, if you start one habit for 3 months, it takes, they say it takes 30 days to start to build a habit, but then about 90 days to where it's like a part of your lifestyle and it becomes second nature. So by the end of the year, that's 4 new positive things you've implemented in your life that's just a part of your lifestyle now. That is huge. So that's my take on how to plan for 2025, make a New Year's resolution that is actually based on life experience, things that you're going to look back at someday and be so glad that you did. I think it's completely transformational. Again, Jesse Itzler, like I need to reach out to him and have him on the podcast because this is just life changing and I'm absolutely going to do it. And I hope that you guys get something out of this as well because I really think that having this kind of a plan is like it's just helping you live your life to the fullest, basically, is the way that I'm looking at it. And the other thing to keep in mind is New Year's resolutions or goal setting. Everyone does it, right? I mean, mostly everyone. Everyone gets on board. And then a lot of people start falling off at the end of January. And then by like mid-February, I forget what the statistic is. I think it was like 80% of people just completely throw it out the window and go right back into their normal routine, forget about their goals and their resolutions. It's easy to do that, okay? What makes it easier and what really increases your chances of sticking to your goals and making a meaningful, lasting change in your life is when you have other people involved. So, like I said earlier, you could sit down with your family, with your best friend, with your significant other, and plan out your year together. Another thing that I hope that you consider is joining my Misogi, which is the Quantum Catalyst Mastermind. And that is a huge portion of it, is going through the next 6 months with me and with a group of other people who are going all in. They are going all in on their dreams over the next 6 months. Imagine being around a group of people like that. Imagine being around one person like that. How much more likely you are to grow and up level and stick to it when you have a tight knit group of people that are all there going through it with you, that you can talk about, you can go through the highs and the lows with, you can get that encouragement when you feel like giving up. It's like the accountability is so important. Just like if you're gonna start working out and you go to the gym with a friend, you're more likely to go when they're counting on you than to just try and show up by yourself, right? So that's basically what you have over the next 6 months. You have me and you have a whole group of people. And in my masterminds, we're always a tight-knit group. Always, always, always. Because you're like sharing your life and your goals and you're manifesting collectively with these people. We're bringing our energy together and we're up leveling together and having these transformational experiences. And so you just become like lifelong friends. And it's really a cool experience. I didn't do one in 2024, and I'm glad I didn't. I needed like a little bit of a break, but I am so pumped up for 2025. Like I just know, like I said in the beginning, it is going to be monumental. It is going to transform lives in the most incredible way. And so if you're interested in quantum manifestation or you feel like you're on the verge of change and you're like, I'm ready. I am ready to go all in on my dreams in 2025 and make them happen. Like I'm tired of talking about it. I'm ready to manifest it. Then this is for you. So spots are filling up. So get in while you still can. It's first come, first serve. Go to the lawofattractiontribe.com/quantum. I will also link it in the show notes. But yeah, imagine like committing to your Misogi for 2025 and having a coach and an entire team of support helping you manifest it. Like you are going to be so far ahead with that type of support and that level of commitment and a lot more likely to achieve it. So if you're ready, go to the lawofattractiontribe.com/quantum, save your spot. I'll link it in the show notes. And Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have a great 2025 and let's make it the best year yet.